It was bad luck to kill wolves, and it would bring bad luck to their people if the person who took the wolf's life were allowed to stay in the village. Short Arrow hurried to his feet and backed away from Standing Wolf, feasting his eyes on the fallen warrior one last long moment before leaving. "Oh, how you will wish that you had not hunted alone today. Too bad your friend Good Shield did not hunt with you. It would have been such a pleasure to have downed him also, but I would not have left him alive. His living would serve Short Arrow no purpose. Only yours, Standing Wolf. Only yours!" Laughing raucously, he ran into the dense forest with his friends. Standing Wolf awakened in a daze. He tried to get up but fell back to the ground, overcome by dizziness. His head throbbed with excruciating pain. He reached out a trembling hand and winced when he found a large lump. Someone had ambushed him. But why? He was liked and admired by everyone. Suddenly, Standing Wolf noticed that his knife was no longer in its sheath. It was indeed a fine knife, but was it worth a man's life? Oh, many desired it, but surely not enough to kill over it. All of this led to the only answer that made sense. He had been downed for vengeance's sake alone. And there was only one man who would seek such vengeance against Standing Wolf: Short Arrow. Suddenly, Standing Wolf became aware of the air washing over the land with its cool evening mist of dew. He knew he must find shelter before darkness fell. The cavern that he had found earlier in the morning, that was where he could seek warmer shelter for the night. He began crawling along the ground. He groaned, his head pounding. The pain was so severe he had to fight hard to stay conscious. Oh, he must make it to the cavern. With the last few ounces of his remaining strength, he crawled inside the cave. He collapsed on the dirt floor and drifted off into the black void of unconsciousness. Shaylee Whiteside sat on the porch of her 2-room log cabin, rocking and feeding her 3-month-old son, Moses. Every time she thought of her husband not living to see his son, she felt an ache inside her very being. David had not even known that Shaylee was pregnant when he died. She had planned to reveal the wondrous news of her pregnancy the very night he was murdered. Tears swam in her eyes as she recalled how she had planned to let him know. During those long days when David had been working away from the cabin, Shaylee had been secretly knitting a tiny pair of booties for their baby. She had planned to place them on her husband's plate that night after he came in for supper. But murdering thieves stole that breathless moment from David when they spilled his life's blood along the roadway to kill him for a few measly dollars and the supplies in his wagon. That day, the thieves stole not only her husband, but also her child's father. Shaylee gazed down at her son, who lay contentedly asleep in her arms, his tummy filled with warm milk. She smiled at his shock of red curls and blue eyes, so like her own. Then she slid the blanket back from his face and ran a finger over the butterfly-shaped birthmark beneath his left ear. "A butterfly's kiss," she whispered, smiling. As Moses smiled in his sleep, Shaylee's attention was caught by the distant sound of horses' hooves. She looked quickly down the small lane that led from the main country road to her cabin. Her breath caught in her throat when she saw many men on horseback hurrying her way. "Who are they?" she whispered, a stab of fear in her heart. Shaylee's knees were weak as she rose from her chair, for she could now see the color of the skin of those who were advancing on her home. There was a mixture of red and white skins. There was a band of outlaws and renegade Indians who had been ravaging the countryside, and she'd always believed they were responsible for David's murder. Oh, dear God, she thought frantically to herself, she had to get her shotgun. She had already seen some Indians notching arrows onto their bowstrings. "Lord, please have mercy," she whispered. She placed Moses in the small cradle beside her rocking chair and turned to go inside for the shotgun. The horse's hooves like claps of thunder erupting inside her brain. Shaylee cast a frantic look over her shoulder and caught sight of a fast-approaching Indian. In the blink of an eye, she saw a livid white scar on the Indian's right